No suffering. Big word. And that's quite an interesting one because, of course, it raises questions like, how is that even possible, basically? Now, maybe some of you are here and actually know, quote unquote, what I'm talking about, in which case, enjoy, rest, chat, don't chat, whatever. And, but it does raise questions because what do we mean with no suffering? And you see that's the first thing. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. It can't be understood logically. Whatever you try to understand, per definition, is going to be a form of suffering. Not that understanding is wrong in itself, because understanding is just basically a natural way of the brain. Let's put it like this. But really, there is no suffering. There is no suffering because there is only this. And this is it. This is that simple. There's nothing else to say really about this because there is only this. But of course, what may be occurring right now is that basically there is a questioning or wondering what this is. What do I mean by this? And the thing is, I mean nothing in particular because this really is only this. This is everything. Now, if this is everything, of course, there is no suffering because this is it. This is all there is. This is really all there is. And this appears as nothing in particular. There is simply a point of focus through what I call the laptop, the brain, all right? Which point of focus to point of focus to point of focus. And that very point of focus is simply what appears. So nothing in particular appears as everything second after second. Now, that's another interesting thing because second after second implies that there is such a thing as time. And there isn't. That there is such a thing as time, and so that there is such a thing as a somebody, as a me, as a person, as an entity, as a being, call it, as an awareness, call it however you like, okay? Which lives through this time and space. So which experiences things, and so which can potentially suffer. But that's the illusion. There already is nobody. There already is no one. So the interesting thing would be to try to find that there is no one. Yeah, that's a very beautiful, very funny trap because really there is already no one. It would take a somebody or someone to find that there is no one. And there you go. You have another form potentially of suffering, quote unquote. Because, well, there is as such a questioning of what cannot be questioned, because really there is only this. Now, when I say there is no time, funny thing is, of course, through this laptop, all right, the body laptop and the laptop, can only appear a form or an understanding of time, a perception, let's put it like this, a perception of time. So whatever I'm saying now, whatever is being said now, by the way, if I say whatever is being said now, passive form. And if I say whatever I am saying now, means the same. There is still no me, there is still no I behind this I who is saying something. There is not. But anyway, so whatever is being said now, this whatever is being said now are just thoughts. Translated into words, but they're just thoughts, basically. So far, so good. Now, these thoughts happen now, quote, unquote. Now, the funny thing is that that's technically impossible. It is completely, simply impossible. Because these thoughts are bound to refer logically to a past, be it a tenth of a second ago, or a future, be it a tenth of a second later, or years ago, or years later. All of which form these thoughts, or these happenings, or these experiences, all these feelings, all these emotions that are happening now. And that's the perception of the body laptop. It doesn't need to change. That's how it is. I'm saying it's just and only a perception. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's not true or false even, I should say. It's just only a perception. So of course, there is no time because time is only a perception. And this, there is no way that you, quote unquote, logic your way into it, that you understand it logically. Why? Because there really is nothing to understand. Nothing that I just said needs to be understood, needs to be remembered. It can be remembered, it can be understood logically, but nothing of that is leading to this, because everything that I just said is this too. You could be remembering word for word what I just said. You could, and you could show me a video with the time of what I just said. All right, none of that, none, and I mean none, really proves that there is such a thing as a past, as a now, or as a future. Because all it is showing the video is this too. And this is what it means. Nothing in particular, because there really is nothing to find, appears as everything. Moment to moment to moment, and quote unquote with moment, because really there is no such a thing as a moment. So of course, there's no such thing as an individual, as a me that lives through time. And so there is no such a thing as an individual that feels or experiences things. They are feelings, they are experiences, apparently. When I say apparently, I mean in appearance. It appears. It's not about denying this. It's impossible to deny it. If it appears, it appears. All I'm saying is it's just an appearance. And it's just an appearance, just like this me. Just an appearance. There is no truth to it, because there already is no me. And this cannot be found, because really, there is nothing to find. Now, if there is nothing to find, of course, suffering cannot be found either. I'm not saying suffering hasn't been experienced, but you couldn't prove to me that you had suffering up until now. You couldn't, because all you could do is describe this suffering, relive in a way this suffering, which is just a thought, just feelings, just emotions happening, so-called right here, right now. And none of those are actually suffering, because all of those are this too. Because really, really, there is only this. And this is this. What else? So if anyone has a question, comments, there's no such a thing as a stupid question, by the way. There is such a thing as offensive questions, but even then, go for it.
It seems you're, this is Rod, by the way. It seems
Hi,
you're
Rod.
highly speaking in the sort of ultimate sense. But of course, here we are on Zoom in the transactional level of reality,
Okay.
as the Vedantins say, or the normal world, as we might call it.
Okay.
And obviously, you are using the language that you are using, which is all relational, dual things. So, you know, in the ultimate sense that you're talking about, well, yes, that's all sort of ultimately true. That there's no truth as such, you know, in a sort of dualistic sense. But this doesn't make a very good conversation. So perhaps you could talk to us a little bit in the in this relativistic level that we're in at the moment, or we pretend that we're in, shall we say? And um, tell us perhaps how you see non-duality, for example, compared with the other versions of it that we get from various teachers.
All right. Okay. Okay. So it's a few things here. So it's all relative. All that I said, per definition, is relative. None of it can be true in itself. No words are true. No words are truth themselves. No words are this. But this appears as the words that were said. So this question arises because that's what I mean. There is a trying to grasp, a trying to understand the meaning of it. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong. It is because this very trying to understand is what seems to be happening. But that's what I said. There is no, that's what I mean. Sorry, that there is no way to grasp this. So this, yeah, could be referred, this kind of talk could be definitely referred as non-duality. I rather don't use the word because I don't like it much, but technically, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Sure, in a way. But non-duality doesn't exist. it's another concept. Yes, to say what, not to say there is only this, there is only one. So really non-duality as such is really what I'm saying. So when you talk about the reality being on Zoom, for example, what is tangible, what is visible, there is no denying this, because this is it too, of course. And this is all there is. Whatever can be sensed, touched, imagined, thought of, felt, I don't know what else, okay, is this. And the idea of there being something real as opposed to something unreal, again, is just and only an idea. None of that is factually knowable. It's impossible. But there will be the interpretation of the body laptop rod of what is or what seems to be real. For example, if I use, and it's not a rule, but generally speaking, if I use the word real or reality, I'm going to be referring to what can be sensed, just the body sensations, feelings, emotions as well, what can be seen, etc., etc. But so it could be understood here that basically imagination, for example, thoughts are not real. And really, this is not what I'm saying, because this is as real as whatever can be sensed or touched. So basically, everything appears to be real, but whether it is actually real or not is still only a sensation. And there really is nothing to understand about that. This can't be understood logically. This can't be, so a question arises because there's a wish to understand it, which makes perfect sense.
When you say
logically,
when you're talking about real, there is nothing real. Are you saying nothing exists?
I am not saying nothing exists. I am saying it's neither real nor unreal. Really, that's what I'm saying. and so whatever exists, there is no way to know basically if it exists, if it really exists or not. But whatever exists, if we want to use word, again, could be said, whatever can be sensed, touched, felt. But imagination, could you tell me that imagination doesn't exist? Does that make sense? So the very idea that of existence, again, is an idea, because there is no such thing as existence. Really, it would take somebody, an actual, or call it awareness or whatever, consciousness, an actual of those things to actually exist, for existence to be. But there is no such thing as existence. Existence is just another word, another label to describe this. So you could say, sure, you could say, it could be said, if you will, that this basically is existence itself. But this being nothing in particular, this being everything that can be sensed, touched, or not, felt, understood, really is nothing in particular. So there is no way to say that this is existence only. It's impossible, because existence, once again, is nothing but an understanding, a logical, and it's nothing wrong. It's not right or bad or wrong or anything like that. It's just only a perception of what is a perception through a laptop. A laptop that seems to live through space, time, which there isn't.
I mean, unfortunately, when we're trying to talk to each other as separate selves in this transactional level of reality, we need to use symbols which we can, you can understand mine and I can understand yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like by reality, what I would think of reality is like what is, whatever is,
Okay.
you know, and
Okay.
we can dissociate. I'm not thinking about my idea of your idea of it, or you know, any particular person, separate self's idea of it, but just what is. What exists.
And so here, can you see there is an attempt of describing what is, which is fine. It is what is.
We didn't get as far as describing what is. We just suggested that there might be such a thing.
But there is only what is.
There is. You're happy that there is something.
No, I'm not saying there is something. I'm saying there is only what is different.
It's only what is. Yeah, well, I agree with you. That's very good. Yeah,
Right.
we got an agreement. Hooray!
Sorry, what did you say?
So I said, hooray! We've got an agreement. Hooray!
Well, you see, that's we've got an agreement. But you see, that's the thing. Trying to understand. It's really not about agreeing. Agreeing really is a form of trying to understand or saying right and wrong. And I'm saying is there is no such thing as right and wrong. So it's not okay. So just so we're clear, it's not like here there is a someone or a belief that says, yeah, hooray, I know better. This is not it. I know nothing. I know nothing, because really there is no one to know. It's impossible to know anything as such that is exactly as it is. This is completely unknowable. So this what is really is per definition unknowable. So there is no what is or what isn't, if you will. I mean, it could be described like this, but there really is no such thing. So,
okay, in that case, do you think we could just sort of skip all this for a moment, and you can just tell us about your spiritual, your imaginary spiritual path that ended you up in this imaginary place, talking to us imaginary people, because I find that quite interesting. You know how.
sure.
Just a little bit of background on myself. I kind of run a sort of spirituality group
Okay.
here in Sussex in England.
Okay.
And I'm always sort of after ways of like how to communicate things and get the best of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched some of your stuff on YouTube, and you were kind of reminiscent of the rather annoying Tony Parsons. Your style is somewhat like that. But anyway, I would be very interested to know how you kind of arrived at this particular take on things.
Well, there is no how really. So I could tell you my story, sure. Yeah,
That's
sure, I
right.
will tell you.
Yeah, your story, yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you the story for whatever is remembered now, which would be that basically there was Maxx was a character that suffered a lot, really a lot, through thinking that he was not good enough. To put it simple. So there was a lot of comparison with others, a lot of trying to find love, whether in a romantic relationship or whether being liked or just giving love, giving the good, being a good person, all that kind of thing. There's been a lot of spiritual search, whether it's within Reiki or whether it's a lot of psychology, a lot of things. I went through a good few depressions. Well, that were categorized as such anyway. There's been a lot of, my God, so many different kinds of psychotherapies or energy healing. Then I went on the Camino, the Santiago in through France and Spain. That was about 4.5 years ago now, something like this. And I was looking really for spiritual teachers, whether it was in my neighbor or an actual spiritual teacher, basically. All then to realize that really none of that is true. And then what seemed to have happened story-wise, what is being remembered now, if you will, is that there was the belief that it was possible to know that which you are. And then came the realization that basically it's impossible. So when I say it's impossible, I could say as well, of course, you know who you are. Everyone knows it because that which you are is nothing. So if I say that which you are is nothing, all right, really, then saying there is no me is exactly the same substance, which is nothing. But so there was that basically realization, which helped a lot suffering wise, but there was still some suffering. So it was clear that the path wasn't, or the path, what appeared to be a path, because there is no such thing, but what appeared to be the path out of suffering, let's put it like this, was somehow still there. Then a bit later came the realization that really, really, it's all just a thought. So whether I say I know who I am or I don't makes no difference, because really there is no me to know that. There is no me. There is still, so it was realized again, if you will, that really there is nobody and everything is just a thought, mind-based, if you will. Now, but after that, was realized again simply, I would say that really there is no me, there is nothing to find. And the way, there is no way, because you see, I believe that there was a way to find this, and the realization, if you will, quote unquote, is that there is no such a thing as a realization, that there is no such a thing as something to find, that there really is nothing missing. And so one day there was this expectation, if you will, everything was fine, everything was pretty much clear. There was no, just for lack of a better word, let's say enjoying. And enjoying can be crying as well, okay? But just basically there was just enjoying. And that day there was not a belief, but just a thought. The thought simply, thought comes from nowhere, goes to nowhere. And there was just this thought that it will happen today. It will happen today. And there was no doubt with this thought. It's not, so I could say I knew basically that it would happen today at 9 or 10 o'clock. And then basically later that day, there was at around 8 o'clock, just another thought came like, well, funny, nothing has happened yet. And then of course I burst out laughing, because of course nothing ever happens to me, nothing ever happens. So nothing will happen tonight at 10 o'clock. I go on with the evening, and at 10 o'clock sharp, so the story goes, it's just the funny element of the story, if you will, is that there's someone that's typing, I think. If you're typing, could you please?
It's Mark. There's someone called Mark who's producing that for us.
So I have no problem with you typing, Mark, but can you just mute yourself just for that, if you don't mind? Thank you very much. And so yeah, it was simply realized, if you will, and that okay. So scrap that. This is actually wrongly said. It was not realized. It was simply the thought came at 10 o'clock sharp. Well, yeah, nothing happening, because finally, my whole life, and that's what everyone does, there is an expectation for this moment of enlightenment, for this peace, for this eternal, call it however, like for this realization of no me, for that other realization, for suffering to stop, and blah, 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 and we can name it all you like. For whatever it is that we don't want not to be there, or for whatever it is that we want to be there. And there was simply this expectation of nothing happening. So of course, there was the realization, quote unquote, that nothing happens, but it didn't appear as a realization. Really, nothing happens at all. There is no image for that. There is no way to understand it logically. So that's why all I'm saying now really is nothing but a story, and all that it proves really is nothing, because really this story is this too. It's just what's being said, what's being shared now, and that's it. Really, there really is nothing else to this.
Did you have any sort of particular kind of teachers or systems?
I would suggest, if you don't mind, that you hold your question, and maybe someone else, because we just have an hour. So
yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. I would, if someone else has a question, maybe, or wants to, or question, or just wants to share something, is fine as well. Anyone, just feel free
Max,
to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Who is speaking, please?
This is Mark.
Mark, hi Mark. Hi there.
Hey, just had a question, because I was watching another non-dualistic teacher, and they're always saying that this is unknowable, and this is something that I'm trying to understand. I know there's no understanding, but I'm trying to, what do you mean unknowable? What is that? I just can't wrap my head around it.
You can't, you're right. You can't wrap your head around it. There's no way to wrap your you hear what I'm saying? I mean, I do hear your question.
Okay.
There is, so you could say life is unknowable, if you will, or this, because this is life, really. But life is just, the description of this, so it's not really this. This is this. This is unknowable because this is everything. So if I say knowing is this, well, it's this too. If I say unknowing is this, it is this too. So really, there is no way to know what this is because this is nothing. How could you know nothing? First and foremost, it would take someone or somebody to know basically that to know what nothing is, but it's impossible. I mean, literally all the brain can do, the laptop can do, is have an idea, an understanding, a perception of nothing. Call it void, call it, or you hear what I'm saying. So really nothing is nothing, period. There really is nothing to understand about nothing. So that's why this is nothing. And it's not a play on words, although it can be seen as, but it's not intended as a play on words, if you will. It's just really, this is nothing. And so this, of course, is unknowable because it's nothing.
Okay.
You see, all we're doing here is we're explaining the unexplainable. And that's the funny thing, because really, this is nothing, all right? So, and this really is everything. And this is what you're looking for, but this can't be found because this is nothing. So finding this is really nothing. There is no finding this. So really this idea of grasping this is nonsense.
Okay.
It's just another,
Is that also what the cosmic joke is as well? Is that
Well, if you ask me what the joke isn't very funny, is it? But yes, it is, sure. So that is my understanding of what is referred to as the cosmic joke. But yes, that is definitely, and again, interesting use of language, my understanding. There is no my understanding. There is just understanding. So really looking to understand what the cosmic joke is or anything really is already what's happening as well. There is no understanding this because this is understanding as well, basically. So there is no way to miss this because this really is unmissable because this is everything. This is life. This cannot be missed. This is this because really, this is completely unmissable. So there is nothing to find about this because this is unmissable. This is unmissable, and so this is completely mind-blowing. In the literal sense, the mind is blown away. Well, first and foremost, there is no such thing as mind. It's just a reference to, I have no idea, to be honest. But there is the brain, and the brain is suddenly just, well, yeah, I can't understand this, or it doesn't have to phrase it like that, but that's the idea, basically. So really, there is no way to misunderstand this either. And there's no way to miss this. And this really is mind-blowing because there is nothing to understand, because this is it. So of course there is no suffering because there really is no reason for suffering. There are apparent, believed reasons, and we could find thousands, my God, what am I saying? Millions of them, right? But really this is trying to understand that there is no suffering and this can't be understood. There really isn't, basically. Now, I actually kind of forgot the question. So I don't know if I actually answered your question.
Yes, you did.
Good, okay, good. Cool, thank you, Mark. Anything else?
No, that's basically it. Yeah.
Can I have another one?
Sure. Is it Rod again? Yeah.
It's Rod. Yeah.
Do you mind if maybe someone else wants to ask first? I'm not forgetting about you, Rod. Okay. I promise you're gonna get. Is that all right?
Yeah.
You don't mind?
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else? For anything else?
Steve.
Steve, Mr. Steve.
Yeah. Hiya, can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
I do hear you, Steve. Yeah, I hear you all right. Yeah.
Over the last few weeks, I've been listening to you, talking to you a little bit, and I've realised.
All right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm just trying to formulate a question, really.
Okay.
not a question. It's more of a. But that's what I'm getting at, really. Any question that I could ask, and I've loads. I've had, probably have a few more yet, but it's not about that. What you're talking about.
Exactly.
The question I could have is my mind trying to understand what's going on. And there's no way my mind can understand what's going on.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the way to work, as I do with you, is like you've said it to me over. It's like I'm a guru. It's just to listen to what's being said, because
Right.
I'm not trying to understand. Just let it be. Just let it do its own work.
Right. So, sorry, am I interrupting, or maybe
I
you're
don't
not
think.
finished?
Oh, that's so much else.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thanks. So yes and no. You're saying basically, so you realize your mind cannot understand this. So really, all you can do is listen. And technically, that's true. Except the way you say it, or what I believe is meant, what I hear really in what you're saying, really is, well, I can't understand it, so I'm going to try not to understand it. The only thing I can do, really, but there is no me already, right? But the only thing that this me could potentially do, oh my God, would be to listen. But the thing is, there already is listening. So it's not that it's not that word-wise we could say you listen, you are listening, and if that's what you quote unquote want quote unquote to do quote unquote again. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is not a way. You see, it appears that there must be a way. It appears really to the seeking mind, the seeker, the me, call it again, we're talking about this, the seeking energy, let's can call it all however we want. It appears that there is such a thing as a way that can lead you here. But if we listen just to the words I said, I mean, it's completely impossible. How could a way lead to here? How? It is here.
Sorry.
That's all right. If we can just mute, if you could just mute yourself, please. Was that Steve, actually?
No.
I know that wasn't. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so really, there is no way to this, but it appears there is. So it's not about denying. You see, because all I'm saying is that there is no way to this, because this is it. Really, this is it, and there's nothing to say about it, and that's it, and bye bye. Except I'm not saying bye bye, but really that's it. This is this. I mean, what else? This is this. This is so obvious that this is only this, but to the seeking mind, to the questions, let's call, doesn't matter how we call it, there is indeed an appearance of a way to this, which is probably the very reason why everyone is here today, basically. Whether it's seen or not, this actually is the reason. There is no one reason, but if you have to put it down to words, it's the hope of getting something here. And all I'm saying is there's nothing to get. I cannot give you anything. I cannot help you because there is no you to help, and there is no me here to help anyway. There is just this happening for absolutely no reason. But there are apparent logical reasons. Now, the reason, quote unquote, I'm saying this is really there is no way, Steve, to this. So if listening appears, this is what is appearing. This is what is appearing. Sorry. If there is a trying to understand, this is what is appearing. Because understanding is this too, but there really is nothing to understand about this. Simply because this is this, nothing else, and there is no way in or out of this. So the body laptop is this too. Is literally an appearance of this, appears within this. So if someone if not a body laptop, let's put it like this, is looking at this body laptop called Maxx right here, right now, all right? Well then, what appears to that body laptop is, be it for just half a second, all right, is the body laptop called Maxx. And then maybe there's a smell, there's a sound, there's other thoughts, there's questions, there's this, oh my God, I forgot my dinner, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? There is that, really. There is that.
So very, very subtle. And
I hear that, yeah.
First, straight away when he said that, I was a bit miffed. I thought, what are you giving it here? You know what I mean? But I realised that he said, I thought I knew how to do this. Somehow. But if I do it like this, I'll get it. It's like, that's what you're saying, isn't it? I was still thinking.
Yeah, good.
I'll do it this way. I'll just listen.
But so it's fine. You see, you can't force it. So I'm saying you can't force yourself not to try to understand. I'm saying there is an understanding happening, but the understanding is this too. So it's fine. Whatever you do is fine, because whatever you do is this too. Obviously, unmissable. Because you see, really there is. Oh God, I forgot what I want to say. That will be it for now.
Well, the mind
discussion anyway.
In a sense, it's still trying to understand this even now. Even when I think I'm getting it, it's still trying to understand it. It's a cheeky, isn't it?
It's a shitty little fucker. But here's the thing: the mind is not the fucker. The mind doesn't even exist. But yes, there is. You see, okay. So that's what I want to say. Actually, you see, there is when I'm saying there is an understanding happening. In other words, there is a hearing already seemingly happening, and so yes, hearing again absolutely helps, in my opinion, and that's what I've seen with many clients, really. But the truth is, there's no need to hear this again, because this is it already, really. This is it. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Steve. Thank you for your question. Let me have a look at the time. We still have time. Okay. Rod, you had a question?
Yes. Lots of talk about understanding and do we understand this? How would you define understanding?
There is no defining, there is no trying to understand what understanding is, really.
Well, when you say, for instance, I mean, you can probably say things that you understand. I mean, you understand how to use Zoom. So what does
that's
that?
Debatable, but sure, yeah.
Well, what does that consist in? What mental operations are going on when you understand something?
Nothing in particular. Many potential operations. It's not looked at. You see that this very question is really trying to understand what is meant here, because there is the belief right now that there is a you that can get something out of this, but really there isn't already. So I can for sure describe what is heard, or what I hear, if you will, by understanding, but really understanding is just a natural process of the mind. For example, there is hearing a word, and there can be a natural understanding of the word, because, well, and then with an interpretation of the word, sure. And so, as you mentioned yourself earlier, symbols, we have to use symbols, language being definitely one, if that makes sense. So yes, sure. So and so there could be a getting used, let's put it like this, although it's not accurate, but a getting used to the language that is being used. It seems that this language is as direct and as precise as can be, although again, no words are this, but this is every word at the same time. And it seems like a paradox, but it's not. And you see right now, there could be a trying to understand what I'm saying, which is then I'm saying trying to understand. It feels like there is an effort, or it's not, or maybe it's not pleasant, or maybe it is pleasant. I don't know. But there is a level of any effort to understand this, whatever this is a failure in itself already. It's not a bad thing or something. I'm literally saying it cannot work, because there is no way to this. There is no way to this. And so when this is heard, if you will, this is unmissable. But the truth is, this is already unmissable. This is already heard. This is already, because there really is nothing to find. And so
this is your understanding, isn't it?
No.
It's not your understanding.
It's not. It's
No.
it's it's
So
it's
what?
it's
What
the
do you?
it's the way it's being expressed. It's the way it's being expressed for this body laptop that we call Maxx. And then the way it can be expressed the way it is expressed by other body laptops is bound to be somewhat different. It can be very similar. It can be extremely different, but there's bound to be a difference simply and only because there's a body laptop here and another body laptop is not the same. Even if you had a twin brother, it's not the same. It's already two body laptops. So there is simply a message, a sharing, which doesn't come from anywhere, which is not claimed to be known or to be understood even, or to be owned by someone. There is just,
I mean,
this laptop here has registered that there is nothing to understand, that there is nothing to find, that there is nothing to change. We could put it like this, but none of what I'm saying right now is this exactly, because this is all. Like literally, this is all as in everything, and this is all as in that's it. Really.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
so
I would agree with that, but I think the way that you're conveying that is it feels a bit sort of awkward, shall we say? Like if we think about
sure.
words, if we go back to basics, like we think about words have definitions, and if we are using the same definitions, and you say something to me or someone else, and we have definitions that are roughly similar, then we will hopefully have an understanding of what the person is talking about.
Absolutely, which is why the words that are being shared here, if you will, as really they're as precise as it gets. They're really as precise as it gets. It doesn't mean that it can be improved in a way. It's not what I'm saying, and I'm not saying I'm holding truth, because really there's no such thing as truth. It's not another idea. It's another concept. There is no truth, and that's the only truth. We could put it like this, like literally. And because there is no truth, there is nothing to understand. And so what you see, what is understood, or what is perceived by the body laptop called Rod as basically being rational or not rational, or awkward or not awkward, really is right now an apparent rejection. And it's not a bad thing. There's no insult there. There's no judgment. I'm literally just saying it's an apparent rejection of what is being shared here, simply because there is a trying to understand. In other words, trying to agree, because really there is nothing to agree or to disagree with, because really there is no way to.
What is what is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can I suggest something which, I mean, this is my model of understanding, is that I think of it as a kind of a map, like a mental map, if you like. And there are all these various factors in it. And, you know, sometimes if there is a hole in my map and there's something missing there, then to understand that thing, I'd need to fill in that hole with a bit of information.
Which is your understanding right here. Thanks very much for sharing this. That's brilliant. This is which is your quote unquote, because it's not yours, but for lack of a better word, it's your understanding of the need to understand.
A definition of understanding, yeah.
Exactly. And so if it's seen as a map, as now, it is already what's appearing. It's not understood yet, that there is nothing to understand. But this is what appears, maybe, it's a suggestion here, maybe as a process, maybe. But the truth is there is no process already to this. So every process is bound. It's not that you can't find an answer. You can find an answer, but no answer is this, because really there is nothing to find, really. And so at some point, it's like, it seems that it's clear that really there is nothing to find and no one to find it, and that there never actually was. And never.
I mean, how about, you know, if we compare your.
Okay, sorry. Go on. But then we'll go on to someone else if you don't mind. Go on. Sorry, my bad. Go on. Yeah.
In the sort of Vedantic system, they say, well, yes, we are all Brahman, We may not know it, but there is, you know, the object is roughly the sort of Vedantic path is to really understand it totally in a sort of intellectual way, and then you really sort of meditated, and then on, you know, in one day at for some unknown no reason, it suddenly becomes real.
Sure.
Does that roughly correspond with your understanding of it?
My understanding of what?
Of the process whereby a separate self can become aware that actually his idea of being a separate self is a misunderstanding.
Sure. I mean, sure, in the sense that, yeah, this is definitely how it appeared here, not through Vedanta and stuff like that, but meditation. Sure, that was, by the way, to answer your first question, meditation was part of my path as well. But no, because really, this is, you see, I don't remember your words exactly, but for a separate self to come to the understanding really that there is no such thing. This is the joke. This is literally, you get this, you're free. But the joke is you are already free, because there is only freedom, there is only liberation. So any way to this is bound to fail. Now, that doesn't mean that methods are not being used. And so as long as there is the belief of a separate self, there can be a method that is believed that will work. And so in truth, that method actually works, of course, because at some point it's going to be seen that this method was useless. And all I'm saying ultimately is no method ultimately leads to this. They're all pointless. They are all pointless. Absolutely. Because really there is nothing to understand. And that's why it seems so difficult to understand. But really, how could nothing to understand be difficult to understand? I mean, it's impossible. Per definition.
Which part of the map is it anyway?
Well, there is no map. There is no map.
Okay, yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Well, in a way, yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. Thank you, Rod. Thank you. Anyone else? Let me have a look at the time. Yeah, we have a bit. Oops. I've lost you guys. Sorry. My God. You see, I'm not good with technology.
Sean is putting his hand up.
Sean. Can we hear you, Sean?
Baby, can you hear me?
I do hear you. Hello.
Awesome. Thank you for all you do, Max. Your videos are great, and I missed that synth song you had at the end of a lot of your videos. You took it off.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really do appreciate what you do. And
thank you, Sean.
When this is heard, or however you want to put it, all the weird speak we have to do here, is there a sense of defeat or disappointment? I feel defeated, if that makes sense. I know there's no need to feel defeated, but there is a sense of defeat. Like there's nothing I get that you can't get anything, and that this is all there is, and there is no way to get there. And I'm already here, and I'm just watching myself even say these things to you. But there's still a sense of like, well, I'm not going to win at this. It's
not good enough. Something like that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and I'm still just watching myself that way. But that there is no stuff that's still happening. I'm not saying it's just a weird thing, and I thought I would just bring it up.
So that can appear. It seems to happen with a lot of people. It definitely appeared, and people, there are no people, but all right, again, using words. It seems to happen to a lot of body laptops. That's why I like the word body laptops, because it separates the idea of a someone or because they. But anyway, so it definitely appeared to appear because it didn't really, but it appeared to appear here, the body laptop called Maxx as well. But And sorry, actually, there's no but. Yeah, it can seem to appear, but this is because this is still a misunderstanding, basically. More subtle, arguably. There's no such thing as comparison, but again, gotta use. So it seems more subtle than the gross. Oh my God, I'm suffering. I'm this. Does that make sense? But there's still, because really, this despair, or if I refer to it as despair, does that resonate with what you're saying?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sean?
It just
Yeah.
A little bit. It's a confusing thing. It's like, I know that in order to even feel that, there would have to be someone there to feel it. But you know,
You see,
well,
I think you just said it. You just said it, Sean. You said, well, that's the thing, or the confusion or something is that I know that you don't. That's the illusion. You don't. You have seen that. It has been seen. There's no doubt. I hear that. But it's not dropped, quote unquote, because really there's nothing to drop. There's nothing to find. But it's not dropped, quote unquote. It's not heard, really. So yeah, despair appears because, my God, what can I do about it? And all the while knowing, quote unquote, that there's nothing you can do. I'm fucked. And you're right, Sean is fucked. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, wow, this is cool. Oh wow, I'm stuck.
Yeah, I hear that. So it's how it appeared. You see, for me, that's really how it appeared, and maybe that adds up to Rod's first question as well, which is that in the story, right? There's been so many, but really, I'm not kidding, countless apparent realizations, countless, unending. This is it. This is it. No, fuck. There's still this, and the tiny little thing would make me come back, but me never was anywhere. But which at the same time was clear. But somehow it wasn't clear. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle. All right, let's put it. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle. And you know, the truth is, it's a 10,000 piece. All right, jigsaw puzzle. And the truth is, all the pieces are already there. They're already there. And what seems, and I insist on the word seems because it's not actually true. All I'm saying is just yet another image, another explanation. What seems is that the jigsaw puzzle at some point is just, that's it, perfect. But even that does not even come close or far to the apparent realization, because really the apparent realization is that there is none. And so it's seen as a paradox, but it's actually not. So I do absolutely hear what you're saying completely. We could argue saying the message is heard partially, but that's actually not true, because that's another, you see, it's almost like you see that this question arises because this apparent you right here, right now wants to be helped. Does that make sense? Yeah. Even if you've seen there is no you, I do hear what you're saying. I'm not disputing that, but somehow. Sorry, Sean.
I almost didn't want to bring it up because it feels like, I'm feeding the eye. I say, help me.
Yeah, I understand. All the while, this is a reason for those meetings, basically. You know, there are no stupid questions. But the truth is, I don't hold the answer. No one does. But it just seems that it's said in a way that so far has helped countless people, and I have no doubt still will. But when I say help, really, there is nobody to help. Oh my God. And so, yeah, this is seen as a paradox that there's nobody to help and that you can't be helped. And so, oh my God, what can I do? But really, there is nothing you can do. There really is nothing you can do. And when this is heard that there is nothing you can do, there won't be a trying to do something about it anymore. And so, of course, this is heard. But the truth is, Sean, this is already unmissable. There is nothing that you are missing, nothing at all. This is already the case, that there is nothing. I mean, this is this. this is everything and everything is nothing, and we can blah, blah, blah conceptualize about this. There's no need to conceptualize about this, not even to say that everything is this and this is everything, because this is this. And really, there is no way that the mind grasps this forever or whatever. There can be understanding and understanding and understanding and understanding, absolutely. And it's not like understanding stops here, all right? I mean, there's understanding happening, but there's no need, there's no try to understand anything anymore. It's just basically what happens, if that makes sense. But the truth is, it's already the case because this is completely unmissable. This is impossible to miss. Even if you think that you are missing this, be it for a tenth of a second, this is not miss, because this is just a thought, and the thought is this too. So this is really already unmissable. There is no way that you grasp this, nor that you miss it, because really there is nothing to this. This is just this, and this as such is just a word to describe this, a word which is not this. You follow what I'm saying? Because really, a word is just a word, and this is nothing. But at the same time, the word this really is perfect for this, because come on, this is this.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah, it's everything you point to. But when that's filtered through the eye, so to speak, it gets panic feelings. You know, like it's like out of control, and I think it is. But then when you don't filter it through it, or when it doesn't get filtered through it, then it just is. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
I don't know, that weird it makes me feel better to talk about it somehow, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Very welcome. Yeah. You see, and that's the funny thing, because really nothing helps, because because really there is nothing to help and no one to help or to be helped. All the while, of course, describing this meeting as helping is perfectly fine. It's just a description, no problem. And so, of course, whether it's those kind of meetings or the group sessions or the one-to-one sessions that I do help, because really it works, and there's no how it works, because this is not a way, there's not a way, there's just talking, and it somehow is being heard at some point that really there is nothing to miss, or really this is unmissable and there is no one. So you see, your mind can go on about it for a while. It's fine, because really this is already what's happening, and nothing is happening in particular. This is it. This is it, absolutely. Blah, 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 blah. I love talking, sorry guys. Well, that's why you're here, right? Okay, let me have a look at the time. Okay, it's almost been an hour. Maybe someone else wants to ask a question.
Ask a question quick.
Yeah, sure. Who's that, please?
Matt.
Matt, hey Matt.
So basically we don't have free will because there's no one, correct?
Are you asking me?
There's no one to have free will.
There is no free will. Yeah.
Is there anything deeper to that, or I feel like there's I mean I don't know. I feel like there's
All right.
I feel like there's more to it, like yes, there's no one.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's no free will, but I don't know if you could elaborate a little bit more.
Sure, we can elaborate about that. Free will or no free will is yet another understanding, another concept of their trying to understand what this is. And so, in other words, we could use the word control. Does that work? Choice as well, right? But
yeah.
I like control personally. So control. You asked me a question literally 30 seconds ago. Was there someone that controlled the question? It's a yes or no question.
No.
No. Okay, good. Now, could you control that you replied no right now?
No.
No, absolutely. And you know the beauty of that is if you had answered, well, yes, I could, but you couldn't control that you answered, yes, I could. There is no free will, period. The mind, quote unquote, will try to understand what it means, but it means nothing. There can be a deepening, let's put it like this, all right, in appearance to the body laptop. Oh my God, there really is no free will. Oh my God, there really is no free will. But really, there's already no free will. And so the experience of life gets better and better in appearance. But that takes someone to want things to go better. But there isn't. So there can be an appearance of deepening stuff, like levels of enlightenment. Such bullshit. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. There's levels of suffering. We could put it like this. Even that is an appearance. It's actually not true. But as an explanation, we could say there's levels of suffering. Sure, very so-called strong suffering and very subtle levels, to the point that we could even say, well, no, there's no suffering. But then there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and sure, it can appear. But really, this appears to no one. So there's no level of free will or not. And whatever is being said here can be seen as elaborating. Your question was to elaborate on this of free will, but this is just an answer, spontaneous, said with no free will to nobody that has no free will.
So it's kind of like when we think there's somebody, we think that there's free will, kind of like when the ego is running the show, it's the illusion that I'm making choices when there really isn't an I there.
It could be said like this, sure. Except that this takes a belief in a thing like an ego, and then another belief that the ego is different to the me. And another belief that the someone is not the ego, blah, blah, blah. But all of these are just ideas running through nowhere, really, because they don't run anywhere. And that's it. That's about it, really. I do hear what you're saying, absolutely. I do hear the logic of what you're saying. And I do hear that it is what is, or what has been experienced, let's put it like this, or what is being experienced, sure. There's no denying this, because this is this already. But really, ego, what? An idea. Another survival fear, if you will. Fear of death, quote however you like.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Matt. Thanks very much. Okay, I see Rod has a question. Wait a second, Rod. I'll see if someone, because does someone else have a question now before Rod? Rod, I'll take you. I'll take you as a last question. Okay. Does someone else want to add just one more question before Rod, and then we'll wrap it up for today? Or are we good?
Okay.
No. Okay.
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 I was just like an opportunity to say something about the free will business, because I've had a problem with that as well, trying to make some sense of it. And if you think, well, all the events that happen in this transactional universe have a cause. We don't know of any uncaused events, and that all tracks back down to the big supposed bang. In sort of chains of causation, which doesn't seem to leave any space for free will. So now the second proposal is that we can program a computer or a robot to make decisions based on what it detects with its sensors, and why should that not apply to human bodies, because they are physical objects and we are programmed by our education, our family, our culture, and all these kind of things. And the only difference is that we now claim that there's some imaginary person who did these things, but in fact the universe does everything.
This is not a claim that an imaginary person does or doesn't things. There is no such thing as an imaginary person. Per definition, it's an imaginary person. You hear what I'm saying? It is, and that's an illusion, and that's how strong, quote unquote, the illusion can appear.
Yeah.
because it appears to be strong. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's an illusion. So yeah, I mean, there is this can't be understood logically that there is free will. And when you talk about a transactional universe, I'm not sure what you mean by transactional.
Well, I mean, this universe that we're in, when we're having a conversation and we can talk to each other, and I can send you a letter and an email and watch you on YouTube.
Okay.
Lots of transactions go on.
Right. Okay. So sure. All right. Well, the misunderstanding is simply this: we're not in that universe. It takes a you to be in or out the universe, and we are not the universe either. That is just another concept, another survival fear. If you're another question, there is no such thing as there is. It is completely unbelievable.
Did you eat dinner today?
Sure, not yet actually.
Oh, well.
I had lunch. If that satisfies.
That's part of your dinner is part of the transactional universe.
Absolutely, but it's not my dinner. That's the misunderstanding. There is, so of course I don't walk around and I say it is not my dinner. I didn't eat. I don't walk. Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. Not one bit. What and I'm. It's not like I walk. My wife calls me and she's like, "Where are you?" Well, nowhere. There is just walking happening. Of course not. Does that make sense? I mean, but you hear what I'm saying, right? But but what I am saying is really, there is no such a thing as a me that is saying something now. And this is completely, simply and completely unbelievable. This cannot be believed. This cannot be understood. This cannot be grasped. So there is no me that will have a dinner or that had lunch. There is no such thing. All it proves, that's walking through what I said earlier, time and space, if you will, or time and space. And there's all there is this now. So you saying this, body laptop called Rod, let's put it like this, expressing that, having dinner, transactional universe, etc., expressing free will, no free will, is this, or is this, it is this is all that there is. Literally, this is all that there is right here, right now, and there's no such a thing as a right here, right now. There is somewhere else, and there's no such a thing as a right here, right now, period. Because right here, right now is just and only another description of this.
But aren't we spoiling the game by going into the ultimate?
Are we spoiling the game by going into
the ultimate?
What is the ultimate?
Well, the ultimate is there's no self, there's no world, there's no universe, there's no nothing.
Well,
and no game.
Right. Okay. So that.
Sorry, that's my phone.
That's all right. There is no ultimate. There's no beginning, no end. There is no ultimate.
Well, you've just spoiled the game.
Okay. Good. All right. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for being here.
Thanks,
really
Max.
Nice. I do one-to-one sessions and group sessions as well. You can find it on the Maxx with 2 X's Verhamme.com and otherwise YouTube. I will very likely hold these a lot more often. Maybe not every week, every 2 weeks. I don't know. I'll see. But and that will be seen on my Facebook and on my YouTube. So there you go. All right. Cool. Thanks very much, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Have a good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.